Ruben!
So uncivilized.
Hey guys, welcome to our second video where we are discussing stuff. Yeah, so anyway, so our last video we talked about if we thought film theories are killing films, but we related it mainly to Star Wars. So today,
what else could be ruining Star Wars?
I wonder. Rian Johnson. So, as we all know, Rian Johnson has been heavily criticised by fans, some critics, even though this
Mark Hamill.
yeah, even Mark Hamill, for doing a terrible job, essentially, on The Last Jedi. Now, obviously, being filmmakers ourselves, it's very easy to see the good and the bad side from a filmmaking perspective. And then, obviously, also we are huge Star Wars fans, so we can also see the good and bad points from Star Wars universe creative decisions. So I feel like we've got a pretty fair and overall good opinion, I guess. I don't know where I'm going with that. So, the question for this video is Rian Johnson ruining Star Wars? So, he has been given another trilogy after this film.
So far.
So
it could be taken off him.
No, I don't think it will.
The only thing we can definitely agree with the new trilogy is it'll look stunning.
Yeah.
Might be a bit too shocking.
Yeah.
But if he's got his own characters, his own time period, not related to anything done so far, it might be a lot more accepted.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing. Even though...
Because the main issue was, there was Luke Skywalker wouldn't have done the things he did. And things like that. It's the characters being sent in directions the fans didn't agree with. Which obviously is from his story. So, his own characters would make more sense for them to go in the direction he wants them to go in.
Yeah, I think that was one of the main issues. He had to not only take it over from a franchise that had 7 or 8 technically films before his, but from that trilogy, he was taken over halfway through. Obviously, after Abrams had done such a great job with Force Awakens, it's very difficult then to come on. What they should have done, in my opinion, is gone into their original meetings before the first trilogy and gone, this is a story we want to tell over the trilogy. These are the key points that have got to happen. Cut these ones out for the first one. This is the middle film. This is the conclusion of the trilogy. Instead of going, this is what happens in the first film, someone else can figure out what happens next.
Well, personally, what I think they should have done is given one director the trilogy.
Yeah. Well, they gave Abrams the start and the end.
But was he intended...
Abrams.
People can correct me if this is wrong. You can correct me if this is wrong, because I don't actually know. Was Abrams ever intended to do the first and the third before?
No.
Was it after the second one or the first one?
Yeah. As far as I know, again, like James said, let us know if we're wrong. I'm pretty sure Abrams just...
It was intended to be 3 different directors, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So they obviously known something's gone wrong to bring one guy back. That's not a good sign, for one.
But at the same time, they've given Johnson another trilogy.
But they gave that before it was released.
But they hired Abrams for the third one before it was released.
That is true.
So that's a difficult. We don't know what's going on with what's Kathleen Kennedy, the head of like Lucasfilm or president, wherever she is. So we don't know what's going on in their meetings and why they're making the decisions they're making. But back to the topic at hand. Has Rian Johnson ruined Star Wars? In my opinion, it's a difficult one. He ruined The Last Jedi. And I keep saying that there's so much work to be done in episode 9 for me to kind of forgive episode 8 that it's just so difficult. Luke Skywalker is now dead, so you can't undo that. And if they bring him back as some crazy powerful... I think Luke Skywalker if they bring him back as some crazy powerful Force ghost, I don't know how well that will be received.
No, it's going to be very hard if they bring Force ghosts into subjects that can influence things going on.
Yeah.
They're almost backing themselves into a corner at this point, and it could be one of those where if suddenly they come next film and they can't do any of these things, then it's going to make The Last Jedi seem even more off.
Yeah,
the
thing that worries me for episode 9 is because Abrams was a producer for episode 8, and obviously he's producer, writer, director for episode 9, he would have had a say in everything for episode 8. Which worries me.
But Rian Johnson would have had the last say on that side of it, because even like Mark Hamill voiced all his concerns, and they talked about it, and then it basically went down Rian Johnson's route anyway. That yes, they're involved, but the whole producer role is so vague now. It's basically just to attach the name. They know Abrams did episode 7 great. Let's put his name on it, so people are more inclined to think it's going to carry on the same way.
I mean, as far as I know, I think episode 8, the script was finished before Abrams was confirmed to direct 9.
I think.
So chances are Abrams didn't have a great deal, but he is credited as a writer, I think.
Is he?
I think so. I think he is credited as a writer. Maybe. I'll have to check that. If anyone knows, let us know. But I'm not sure how much he would have had to say within the writing process. I think I know Johnson was the main writer, obviously, and director. So it's difficult to say. But going back to the question, I don't think I'm struggling to even say it. I don't think Rian Johnson has ruined Star Wars. No matter what, overall we're always going to have the films we love. Everyone loves the original trilogy, no matter what you say about Ewoks and whatever parts of the trilogy you hate. I personally love Ewoks. I don't care what anyone thinks of that. I love Porgs too.
Yeah, there's nothing to not like about Porgs. They
didn't ruin the film as much as I thought they were going to. They were one of the better things. Anyway, we're always going to have those films, and then say what you want about the prequels. We've said before that we actually like the prequels, not necessarily as films, but we like what they've brought to the Star Wars universe, which was a lot, probably more than the originals did, in terms of like lore and history and all that sort of stuff. So we're always going to have those. And a friend of ours has said before, like the new films, because he was so disappointed with what happened, you can almost just think of them as fan fiction. And the original 6, because that's technically what it is. Star Wars is George Lucas's vision. All 6, 1 to 6, all came from one man's mind. And now we've got people who grew up as fans of the original trilogy. They're writing it, so it's essentially fan fiction. It's not coming from the original source.
And that's the thing people do need to remember, is this is a completely different company making them. People are acting as though it's the exact same creators, and you got to understand every director creator is different. Otherwise there would be no point in having more than one. So you kind of got to accept they hire these people to do their job. He has done his job. I mean, it's made a lot of money. As much as people claim they're going to boycott, they won't. The people who are that vocal about it are the ones who will have to go watch episode 9 to find out what happens, how they try and fix it, if they answer the question. So realistically, they haven't really done anything that wrong.
And like we said before, Rian Johnson has probably made, it's got to be definitely the most discussion-worthy Star Wars movie ever. It's been a month and we are still talking about it all day, every day. So he's done what a Hollywood filmmaker should do, and that's bring in a lot of money, make people talk about it, create a huge amount of social media buzz, which in this modern day is super important. Otherwise films don't really go anywhere. So in that way, no, he hasn't ruined Star Wars. If he had done a film that had only made $300 million and it cost $400 million to make or whatever, then they'd go, okay, so we're not going to put as much money into the next ones, which then probably would have a knock-on effect and maybe ruin Star Wars. But in this case, all he's really done is ruin The Last Jedi.
Yes.
Yeah.
But are we still just being too bitter about it? Are we still being too much of a fan? Because the thing is, we've all got our own fan theories about what happened, what didn't happen. There's canon that became legends that are coming back into canon. It's all a bit... So much of it is just fan theory, and so much of it is unknown to the majority of people. Are we just too connected to what we already knew and too unwilling to accept a different path?
I think that, probably is true. Again, that goes back to our last video about how fan theories are ruining it. Because we wanted something that we wanted something different, and I think there was so much of that. And like I said, there's such a huge Star Wars fandom that everyone had an answer, everyone had a theory, everyone had something they wanted to happen, or thought was going to happen. And Rian Johnson had obviously seen all this and gone, no, I'm going to make it unexpected. So that had a knock-on effect, and eventually possibly led on to some bad decisions. Possibly. Yeah,
but everyone now knows who Rian Johnson is.
Yeah.
That is one thing. Literally everybody knows who Rian Johnson is. If you ask the majority of people, there's maybe a bit of an overstatement at this point, but if you ask the majority of people who he was before, big film fans would probably understand he was the guy who made Looper and stuff like that. I can't remember the name of the other one.
Breaking Bad.
He did one other feature. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. But he wasn't a household name. He wasn't a Spielberg.
Oh, no.
He wasn't a Lucas.
Oh, when he was hired, I was like, who's Rian Johnson?
Yeah. Now, you're barely going to find a film fan who doesn't know his name. And that is an attraction now, because people will be interested to see what the hell he does now.
Yeah. Oh, so, in terms of his career, I don't think there's not going to be a studio that go, oh, we can't have Rian Johnson touch this because Last Jedi was poorly received.
Yeah, he only made $1 billion. Yeah. What's the point in him?
That's how studios are going to look at it. So for himself, he's done very well. There's no doubt in that. I don't think. No. But it is it's the whole Star Wars thing. Like, there's so many people that have said, "Oh, I'm not going to watch Episode 9. Episode 8 ruined it all for me." I don't think that's going to be, like you said, that's not going to happen. No Everyone's going to see Episode 9 because it's the conclusion of the trilogy. And
I do think it will be the case, like with Empire, in 10, 20, whatever years' time, we're going to look back and go, that actually answers a lot that we didn't know we had questions for yet.
Yeah. But another thing is, like we said in our last video again, the more you watch something, the more you like it. So the more you're familiar with it, the more you enjoy it. Which is the reason why we were familiar with all these theories, and when they didn't happen, it was an outcome that we weren't familiar with, so we were disappointed. So there's certain things in there that Rian has done that, in my opinion, especially after 3 viewings of The Last Jedi, I know there will be eventually a lot more, but there's things that I can't forgive. Things like Leia Poppins. Like, every single time, the first time I've seen that, I was in shock. Like, I couldn't believe what was happening, and I sat with my partner, and I was embarrassed to be sat there watching with her as a huge Star Wars fan. Because if I wasn't a Star Wars fan, I watched that, I'd be going, what the fuck is this? Yeah. And that's how I felt. And then even the third time, I have to ignore that section. So there's things like that. Yes, he ruined. Like, that can never be taken away now.
Okay.
Leia flew through space.
Something that we've also got to think of, though. Okay, as you were saying, did Rian Johnson ruin Star Wars? Rian Johnson wasn't the sole 100% dictator on this film.
No.
There was a team of people looking at every single decision he made and going, that'll work, that'll work, that'll work, that'll work, that does work. There was test screenings of all these things, and they got through them all. As we know with the Han Solo film, they're reshooting 80-odd% of it.
Yeah.
Which seems extortionate, and I can't believe that is actually true. But that shows that when they test stuff and they take on board what other people are saying. So there's a lot of people agreeing with this before it came out.
Yeah.
There can't be something, it can't be that wrong if...
I feel like they needed George Lucas on as like an advisor or like a consultant, not necessarily as a producer or a writer, because I know that he submitted his idea for the new trilogy and Disney went, nah, we're good, thanks. Yeah, they literally did that. I know he wanted like a really, really young, maybe teenage.
Maybe that was the whole hint with the lightsaber over the shoulder. That was Disney going to George Lucas. Nope.
Yeah. But it would have been nice to have him on board for things like, George, could Leia fly through space? No.
Or at least just going, do you think the fans would take well or take poorly to this? Because if someone said 90% of fans are going to go, what the hell has he done with this one decision? At that point, you're probably going to go, okay, let's change that.
Yeah. What's also funny is, the whole thing with Luke projecting himself across the galaxy to fight Kylo Ren. Have you seen how Rian Johnson's come out and defended that?
Remind me.
There's books you can get. There's the Jedi Path book and the Sith Path or something like that. I've got them at home. But they're good books. But as far as I'm aware, they are no longer canon. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. They may be canon. But they're essentially like books that were written for the Jedi about how to do your Jedi training and all the 7 forms of lightsaber combat and how to practice them. And they're written as if they were for the actual Jedi. And there's like a thing at the start like Yoda rented this book out and Qui-Gon rented out Obi-Wan and Luke Skywalker. And there's all like notes from the different Jedi. It's a really cool book. But it explains force powers in there. And one of the force powers, I've forgotten its name, it's a really long, strange name. But it's essentially the ability to clone oneself and project it to another area. So Rian Johnson has tweeted and defended himself saying this power already existed. I didn't create this power. You just put it onto the screen. But because I don't think that's canon, if it's not, that's funny, where he's defending his decisions with non-canon material. But again, at least he's doing his research.
Yeah.
Whether it's canon or whether it's not canon, I'm not 100% sure.
Well, that was the whole argument when he was hired, is he was
A huge Star Wars fan.
a massive fan. And it's just like anyone watching this who's a big Star Wars fan. If we got to make a Star Wars film, it's
Yeah,
your
but
dream.
we-
It's like you want to take
Yeah.
it the way. And maybe the way he watched the films, he interpreted stuff differently as a kid to us, and that's how his mind went with how.
I think it was
things
more
would
a
have happened.
case of he wanted to do something different.
Yeah.
He didn't want to do what people expected. I think that. Is
I
what
do
made
agree
it
with
lost.
that. I wish that there was more to it.
Yeah, yeah. It's a shame.
Mm.
How long have we been going?
I don't know.
Is it time to conclude?
1 second. About the same, bit more than last time.
Yeah.
So it was
Okay.
a nice time. Nice time.
So to wrap it up, Rian Johnson, he did his research,
Mhm.
he did his job, which is the most important thing. He's done well for his career. Last Jedi broke $1 billion,
Mm-hmm.
which means
Disney
Episode 9 is going to get a big budget, and you know
Yep.
that is a very positive thing. So Rian
Mhm.
Johnson has not ruined Star Wars.
No.
Definitely not. He just
No.
did a very poor job at writing Episode 8.
Mm-hmm.
Made some very, very poor decisions,
Yep.
and really pissed
But
off a lot
we've
of fans.
just got to remember it wasn't him alone.
No.
There was a team of people. So Ryan Johnson's team may have ruined Star Wars.
Yeah. A lot of people, you can blame Disney, but
Yeah.
I thought Force Awakens was great
No.
until I watch it again and go, oh, this is what happens after.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, okay. I don't think he ruined Star Wars. He just
No.
did a bad job on the one film.
He just repeatedly tripped up.
He also did a good job in certain aspects of the film. Let's not
Mm.
forget that. Visually, fantastic.
Stunning.
Yeah, amazing. And certain things with certain characters was really cool. I actually thought Kylo Ren's arc was okay. He
Yeah.
didn't develop much as a character. There should have been things that he should have done that he didn't. Like he should have killed Luke Skywalker, and then he would have been this big,
Mhm.
fearful character, villain,
Mm.
supreme leader, defeated the legendary Luke Skywalker. That is how you kill off Luke Skywalker and
Mm.
build up your villain for the next film. But they didn't. They made him look like a stupid idiot that didn't even realise he's fighting a guy that's using the lightsaber that he just broke. Ugh. Anyway, what do you guys think? Don't forget to leave a comment down below and join the discussion. Did Rian Johnson ruin Star Wars? Did he ruin The Last Jedi? Did you love The Last Jedi? What do you think? Let us know. Anything to add?
At least he didn't bring back Jar Jar Binks.
He has some kind of brain.
Some kind.
Although Jar Jar Binks probably would have made a better backup than Snoke ended up making. Alright, thanks for watching. Don't forget to join the discussion,
Yep.
subscribe to the channel, and like this video if you want to see more of the kind. More similar videos of the kind dish. May the force be with you. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, father and son. 50-50.
If I'm going down, I'm taking you with me.